Trevor Jackson podcast.
To be loved by the King of Kings. It's enough to belong in your care for me. When I can't find the words, still my heart will sing.
Thank y'all for tuning in. I have a phenomenal artist on the podcast today, Mia Purpose, and she had released a EP in 2021 called Genesis. And I'm just thankful to have you on the show today, Nia. How's your day been so far?
Thank you. Thank you. I'm honored to be on. Thank you so much for listening to my music and for inviting me to be on your podcast. My day's been going well so far. I can't complain at all. I'm
Yeah,
just glad to be here.
that's what's up, man. We finally getting some good weather here in the Carolinas too. Like it's a it's cold day, but at least the sun out. It's a blessing that the sun is out, and it's no sun.
Right.
Yeah,
All the snow, I mean, I can't even say that because we are not from like in the north where the snow is just,
yeah,
terrible, but we've gotten quite a bit of snow more than recently. I think
yeah,
we had 2 weekends in a row where there were a little bit of flurries coming down, so
yeah, yeah.
it's nice to see the sun.
It is. I appreciate it. It's a blessing to see the sun, and especially on the weekend because when we was getting that snow, it was on the weekends.
Mhm.
Yeah. But are you originally from the Carolinas?
I am. So, born in Rock Hill, South Carolina. Then, when I was 8, my family and I moved to Fort Mill. So, that's where I've been ever since. So, yeah,
Okay.
born and raised, native to Carolinas. It's
Okay.
rare now.
It's rare.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people move here from like I met a lot of people from Buffalo. Recently, I met a lot of people from Michigan, from Detroit.
Hmm.
So, yeah, we're getting a lot of transplants now.
Yeah. It is. It is like a lot of New York people in this area of the Carolinas. It's a lot of New York people. But the first thing, like on my podcast, when I'm very interested in an artist, I kind of be all over the place. I just want you to excuse me
That's
from,
okay.
but but how did the name come about? Nia Purpose.
Yeah, that's a good question. So, my name means purpose in Swahili. It means purpose or intention. So, one of my friends, when he would call, he would always say, Nia Purpose, what's happening? He's from Cali. But so I stuck with it. I was like, you know what? That's a good name. So
Yeah,
that's really how it came about.
in Swahili it means purpose. I
Hmm.
didn't know that. And
Yeah,
then
Nia is one of
your
the days of Kwanzaa.
mm,
So I can't even tell you the number day, but it's one of the days. So
yeah,
yeah, it has a special meaning within the holiday.
okay. And then your
Hmm.
music, the message has a purpose in the music also that you create.
Yes, yes. So with any song, I really want my music to relate to people.
Yeah.
It is spiritual. I am a Christian singer and songwriter. So the songs that I write, they all have a spiritual message, a Christian message to them.
Mhm.
But what I have found, and with people who have reached out to me, some of them aren't Christians, and they say, "I really love your music. I resonate with it." And I believe it's because the messages are just about life. You know, whether you're a Christian or you're not a Christian, we all go through the same things as
Yeah.
people. And so my music reflects just the things that I have gone through as a person, and other people can resonate with it because it's life, you know?
Yeah, that's true. And when you say like everybody's not a Christian or whatever, I don't consider myself a Christian, but I live a Christ like life. I believe that Jesus died on the cross for all, and I believe in God. But your
Mhm.
music resonates with me well. That's why I reached out to you and said I would appreciate it if you could come on the podcast and talk about your creativity and your music and the message and the music and everything. And how long have you been singing or writing music?
So I've been singing, I would say, since I was a child. I was always in chorus or some type of singing group in the church. But as far as seriously pursuing it and really releasing music that I've written, I didn't start until 2019. So very recently getting started. So like you said, Genesis, my EP that I released in 2021, that was the first, that is the first
Yeah,
release of my original music. So I'm
yeah.
just getting started.
That's your debut, the
That is,
Genesis EP.
yes, that's the debut. And it hit right at the start of the pandemic. I guess the middle of it. So I'm really happy that people have been streaming it and been able to really be touched by it. One of the songs that I received a lot of feedback from is Free. And
Yes.
I think people really felt that one because we were all locked in. We
Hmm.
couldn't go anywhere.
Yeah,
And it really is psychologically damaging in a way for especially for people who love to interact with people and have more
yeah,
of an extroverted nature.
yeah,
They really wanted to be outside and interacting with people. And even for those who consider themselves introverts like me, I even realized that I need to get out and interact with people because
yeah.
that's how God created us. So a lot of people resonated with that song during the pandemic.
Hmm. And releasing music during the pandemic, I personally feel it had benefits to it because people was at home streaming things more,
Hmm.
and that's kind of what birthed me creating podcasts, the pandemic and being home, and so how did did the streaming numbers, because we live in an era now that where physical copies don't exist and people stream more, so how did you feel about like when you releasing music during the pandemic? Like, was it therapeutic to release music since we was out quarantined during that time?
It was. It was. And I agree with you. Like we it's a fact that the tangible CDs, all of that is I won't say it's gone, but it's not as popular. It's not as necessary because we have
Mhm.
Spotify and Apple Music and all of these streaming networks. It was definitely therapeutic to write and release music during the pandemic. The only downside is that I couldn't get out as much to perform anything.
Yeah,
But I'm praying that this year and going forward, that won't be as much of an issue. But a lot of creatives pivoted during that time, during the
mhm,
pandemic. We have like the verses where people are doing streaming concerts. So
yeah, yeah.
there's always a way to innovate.
And create uh,
Mhm.
new ways of creativity to get your message out and to get the visuals and stuff out to the people. Like,
Yes.
would you consider your because when I listen to it, it sounds modern Christian music to me. It sounds more modern and it has soul to it. Would you consider it like more modern Christian, or is it? I don't know how to
How to categorize
yeah,
it?
categorize it.
Yeah, that's a good question. So, yeah, it definitely isn't gospel. Like I rule it out of that category. It has a gospel message, but it's not the traditional gospel sound, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Like a John P. Key or Frank Hammond, like kind of like those
Mhm.
um type of artist. I put it more in a contemporary Christian category. One of the artists I really look up to is Molly Music. So his music has that Christian foundation, but it's also it can cross over and
Mhm.
be have more of an R&B feel.
Yeah.
But it's all good music, it speaks to people, it resonates. So that's kind of how I categorize my music as well. Excuse me, as well.
Okay, okay. Because when I listen to it, it does have the message, the traditional message, but it gives me a feel that I can like ride to it, and I can see you performing the records, and it's just more modern to me.
Yeah, it definitely is, more modern, a little more creative, um, and I like that you said you can ride to it because that's what I like to hear. I like for my songs to have that bass, that groove that people can kinda just, like, sway,
Hmm.
especially enough to be loved, like, you just can kinda vibe to it,
Man,
in the car, yeah, so I
yeah.
like that feel, that is what I go for.
Hmm. Hmm. So like you said you hadn't been performing the records as much or whatever, because one of my questions I was going to ask you is, what is your favorite part, like writing the records, recording the record, or performing the record?
Good question. I would have to go with writing. I love writing.
Yeah.
Um, Performing, I'm up to. And the recording process, I do acapella music, so all of the vocals and everything, it's me leading and in the background. You will hear Kevin Weinberger. He was the producer for the EP. He's also a Charlotte-based producer. He's
Yeah.
really great. So you'll hear him in the background too, doing some of those lower parts that I couldn't quite reach. So that process takes a little while. So we were in the studio. Typically, we had like 3-day sessions just to get all the backgrounds in and cleaned up and get the leads in. So it was tough,
Yeah.
but I grew. Every time I went into the studio, I learned something new. I was challenged in a new way.
Hmm.
So I love that part of it, just the challenge and growing and learning new things.
And the if he the producer, like the engineering is so clean. Like I heard you said leads and multiples, and he's in the background. It's so clean. It sounds like it's one track all the way through, though.
Mhm.
To
He
me.
does amazing work, and, I was his first acapella artist,
Hmm.
so we were talking and collabing the whole time, just sharing, my background, so that was my first time in the studio, but I grew up singing acapella, so that's kinda how, I fell in love with it in
Yeah.
church. That's how I grew up singing. So, I was able to bring that background, and he was able to bring all of his technical knowledge, and experience to create this. So it was a really great partnership.
Yeah. And I heard when you said you was an introvert and you're warming up to performing, I can see, like, cause I'm introverted too, though, and I can see how performing could be challenging as an introvert, because you're in front of a plethora of people
Yes.
performing your record that you created.
Yeah, it's a growing process. So I have to start from the beginning to even decide to put my music out there. So I had to trust God and just be like, okay, you put this on my heart. So I'm either gonna suffer from not doing it because I feel like it's something that I'm supposed to do that you want me to do, or
Yeah.
I'm gonna suffer after I do it, just, suffering from criticism and things that people might have to say. So I
Mhm.
just had to make a decision and I decided to just go forward and do what God called me to do.
Yeah.
And there are some people who of course have negative things to say. That's just people. But I received a lot of love and a lot of support,
Yeah.
and so the next phase, of course, is the performing piece. And I talk to people who perform quite a bit, and they just say, focus on who you're singing for. So focus on um, God and who you're singing these praises to. But I do love interacting with people and meeting people. And so when I do perform, I was able to do a few virtual concerts during the pandemic. But whenever I sing live, I try to do what they told me, focus on God and also incorporate interacting with the people who are there.
Mhm.
Because everybody wants to have a good time and just vibe together. And so I keep that in mind. Everybody's here. We
Yeah,
just want to have a good time together. So,
and enjoy themselves. And
hmm
I feel as if like uh God put us on earth to create. So you have to release your creativity for people to love it or judge it or whatever. It's genuinely who you are. If
hmm
I don't know how people could not like when a person is being genuine on the record, but folks have their opinions or whatever. I think the records are phenomenal personally. My favorite one is Enough to Be Loved, and I see you have merch for Enough to Be Loved.
I do. I do. And that was exciting just to see people buying the shirts and people posting the pictures of themselves in them. So those are available on Teespring. If you are listening and watching, the link is in my Instagram bio if you want to go there. Nia Purpose Music. So yeah, they look really good on the
Yeah,
people. So
yeah.
I'm just saying.
And, and nah, they fresh. I like the shirts myself, and for everybody that's watching the podcast too. If you look in the description, I'm gonna put links to her music, her music channel, her Instagram, and to her to purchase her merch though. But how important is merch like to you, like to have merch incorporated with the music?
You know, it's very important now. We were talking about how CDs are becoming obsolete. It's interesting though that vinyls are kind of coming back.
Yeah.
People really like the vinyls and the record players, but um, just listening to other industry professionals, having that merch with your music is just another way to interact
Mm,
with your fans and with the people who follow you and support you. So it allows you to tell a different story about yourself and your music. And it allows the people who follow you and support you to do the same thing.
yeah.
So I believe it is important. And I have more merch coming in the future that I'm excited about.
That's what's up, man. Because like I think that you can have a package like when you release a project, a package with merch and vinyl, because vinyl creates a vibe in the house. Like if you cleaning up or whatever, and you got your candles lit and your vinyl playing, that's a good energy. It feels good to have that. So, like we were saying, I think that merch is very important now to be packaged with the creativity that you release.
Hmm
Hmm.
I agree. So in the future, definitely I'm looking forward to creating those types of packages and those types of experiences for people.
Yeah.
Looking to do some more collabs with artists, like actual like painters and people who create in
Oh,
that way,
yeah.
to do some more exclusive and unique pieces. So
Yeah.
I love art too. I just love to create.
How,
I used to draw and paint when I was younger. I haven't done as much in recent years, but I
mhm.
still love to go see art, and so that would be just a cool way to bridge more of my interests together
Mm.
with my music.
If you could have like a person to feature on a record with you, who would that person? Who would you want it to be, or a whole collaborative project with an individual?
I would have to go back to Molly. I
Yeah.
just really appreciate his creativity,
Hmm.
and his music is it's like a mixture of poetry and spoken word, and he can sing, and then he kind of goes into his rap
Hmm.
thing.
Yeah.
So he and his writing is just beautiful. It's just amazing. So I feel like I could learn a lot just from working with him and just dive into another side of my creativity that maybe I haven't tapped into.
Hmm.
Um, Another artist, he's in the Carolinas too. His name is
Some.
Samoht, Samoht.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, he's amazing. He does like R&B,
Hmm.
but he has a very gospel sound to
Yeah.
it. So, um, Yeah, if I could meet with him and work with him in a way, I probably would definitely take advantage of that opportunity.
That's what's up. I think it could happen though, because if they just hear your music, I wouldn't see why they wouldn't want to work with you, to be honest. And earlier in the podcast, you said that you was doing like 3 day sessions.
Mhm.
So what is some must haves? What was some must haves in the studio that you had to have for your session?
Water. Water, tea,
Mm.
and, my Ricolas.
Okay.
Which I
Okay.
kinda feel like I need right now. But yeah, those were the absolute must-haves. Kevin, he was always great about having some voice teas, so I actually bought some of that myself,
Oh man.
on Etsy. Yeah, there are, people who create teas specifically for people who use their voice a lot and who sing.
Wow.
So I invested in that, the honey, of course, but yeah, water and Ricolas.
I never heard of voice tea before, but I could see how tea could soothe the throat, because if you're singing at the level you're singing at for 3 days, what was the experience like after those 3 days? That's like a workout, ain't it? Like,
Mhm. It is, I would just always be praying like, "Lord, just help my voice to make it."
mm,
Um, but after those 3 days, I definitely rested, my voice a bit. Um, but yeah, it was brutal. It just makes me think about artists who travel and do their
wow,
concerts and have tours. They're singing every day, or at least every other day, and just the work that they have to do and the care that they have to take for their voices.
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, because to think about it, if you had to do a tour, 100-day tour, and an hour set, whew, I didn't.
Mhm.
I never thought about that when it comes to singing. That's a lot of work. That's a whole
Yeah,
lot of
and
work.
they're traveling, and that's just a different type of stress on your body, so I've just been learning that you really have to take care of your entire body to take care of your voice.
Yeah,
So rest is important, water, exercise, the food you eat,
yeah. The
it
food
all
you
matters.
consume, it has to be important. Also, yeah. So, like, do you just write and sing? Do you produce and engineer? Have you thought about going into those aspects of creativity, or you'll leave that to your engineer?
I thought about it. And then when I went into the studio and saw everything that went into it, I was definitely paying attention because I wanted to learn as much as possible.
Hmm.
Um, there is a lot that goes into the engineering piece. I would dabble into it, like, just doing things at the house. And I know there are opportunities to provide background vocals for other people. And so just like learning little things to do here at home. I
Yeah.
have definitely thought about learning that and have been learning that. But as far as doing it for other people, I have not decided to do go that route yet.
Okay.
Producing for other people,
Hmm.
I have thought about that just because I really enjoy collaborating with other people, whether that's with writing, producing content. So I have thought about that, but I
Yeah.
do love songwriting with other people. That's one thing that I enjoy.
Oh, writing songs for other people. Have you done that?
Mhm.
Have you done that before? And can you name some
I
records?
haven't I haven't, had that opportunity yet for a song that I've written to actually
Mhm.
be sang by someone, but I have been writing, with other people for that purpose, to submit songs into a catalog and, just hope that an artist will resonate with it and wanna sing it for themselves, but I haven't been honored yet with that, but I hope to one day.
That's I think that would be a great experience, like a collaborative writing effort for other artists also.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love the songwriting piece. I love singing too, but writing is something that I have always done, even if it was poetry,
Mhm.
books, as a child. Just I've always been a writer, so that's naturally just who I am.
Okay. Okay.
Mhm.
Uh, what can we expect musically to be? Are you planning to release more music in the future, or are we going to get a full LP soon? Or
I'm definitely planning to release more music this year.
okay.
I have it in the catalog, it's ready.
Mm,
I just have to get into the studio and actually start getting the music down, so you can definitely expect to hear more music from me this year.
okay. Okay. I know a lot of people say that they don't know why they would release full LPs nowadays since we're in the streaming era. People would rather just release singles. How do you feel about full LPs versus singles?
So, to me, I see a single as, um when I think about it, I guess for myself, I'm sure people have their own philosophies about dropping a full LP versus an EP. For me, I would just think about what I have written and how it best pieces together to tell a story.
Hmm.
And so if I only have 7 songs that seem to fit together in a way that makes sense, then I would just do an EP. And an album, it does take more hours, more work, maybe a longer time to actually get it out, especially for an independent artist, who doesn't have, it might take some time to get the funds. That's the major thing, especially if you can't do everything yourself like me. So I have to reach out to others who have the skills necessary, engineers, producers, and all of that. So that takes time. So if you want to get something out quicker, you might just do an EP
Yeah,
and, take some time and do another EP. But if you have the resources and want to do a longer project, then I think that has its benefits too.
yeah, yeah. I I like listening to 45 minutes to an hour of music though. Like a whole body of work and it be arranged properly and everything. I can appreciate that though. But
Mhm.
Nia, if I was a exec, a record exec, and I came to you and said, Nia, I want to sign you to a deal. What would be some must-haves in the contract before you sign the deal?
Some must-haves. I must have creative freedom.
Ooh.
I don't wanna release anything that I don't personally like, that I don't
Mhm.
resonate with, that I feel like isn't authentic.
Okay.
Um, and that's just because that's been a part of my journey of growth, just being more authentic to myself. So going forward, I wouldn't wanna do anything that isn't
Mhm.
authentic. So that I definitely want to retain ownership of my music as well.
Yeah.
Um, there's definitely um, room to negotiate those things because people have to get credit.
Mhm.
People who write and work on the project. Obviously they need to get their credit to be
Yeah.
on. As writers, producers, whatever capacity they play. But I definitely would need to have ownership.
Yeah. I like that you said that at first that you would have to have creative control to keep it authentic because nowadays people find individuals that they like the look or they like that their numbers are high and they try to put them together to make a hit so they can become more profitable.
Mhm.
I like the fact that you said I have to be genuinely me and I have to have creative control. Yeah.
Yes. I
Mm,
think that's super important, especially for people who are creative. It's like I said earlier, and Erica Badu said it really well.
mhm,
I can't say it exactly how she said it,
mhm.
but she's an artist. We're artists and we can be very sensitive about our work. So I mean, putting our
Yes.
things out there um is it's very personal. And
Yeah.
so just having being authentic and it's just very important. Yeah.
Mhm. Oh man. That's what's up, man. I highly appreciate you coming on my show. next time I don't want to do it virtually though. I would like to be in your presence with the conversation. And I'm very thankful for you. Do you want to leave any contacts or anything people how could people reach out to you if they want to work with you in the future or whatever?
Yes, yes. So, you can always reach me on Instagram at Nia Purpose Music. Facebook is the same thing, Nia Purpose Music. My email is niapurposemusic@gmail.com. I try to keep everything very consistent. My TikTok is underscore Nia Purpose. That was the only thing that I couldn't manage it.
Yeah,
But you can reach me on all of those platforms. And I would love to work with you, especially if you're in the area. Even if you're not in the area,
yeah,
I'm looking forward to meeting new creatives and working with new people.
yeah. Because we're worldwide instantly now by putting our music on streaming platforms, and then
Hmm.
people can email vocals back and forth. Like I know
Yeah.
some people that work with folks all over the world, and they be in the comfort of their home.
Mhm. It's so
Yeah.
easy now. It's so easy now. So yes, I would love to hear from anyone and see if we can do something together.
Okay. Thank you. Have a blessed day, Nia.
Thank you so much.
I
You
appreciate
too.
it. Thank
The Trevor Jackson Podcast.
To be loved.